peace be with you, brothers and sisters. And if you can't get a piece of pie, get a piece of pizza.
Folks, welcome to the Jake Feinberg Show here at the Dexter Lake Club with an icon regionally.
I hate that word icon.
Yeah.
You know
Well, what do you want? What do you want to be? What's your moniker?
My monitor is Ken Babbs.
Ken Babbs, welcome to the Jake Feinberg Show.
You know about that word icon. It means something that is ancient. You know, like the icons hung on the walls of the religious things. You know all about that. And they're like 200 or 300 years old. But now all you have to do is stumble on New York Street and pick up an apple and throw it up and hit a guy in the head that was about to shoot somebody, and that would be called an icon in the paper the next day.
So it's been cheapened.
Cheapened.
When you Walker was telling me you went to University of Oregon with Mountain Girl, him, and Zane to do a presentation a couple months ago.
It wasn't at Oregon, it was Oregon State.
Oregon State. Now, what in your mind what do you want to get across to the cats that are taking this in?
What do I want to get across to them? I want to get across to them to groove. No matter how bad the situation seems, how much your mind gets filled with all this baloney that's in there, get rid of all that stuff. Only think about the stuff you love and that you're dealing with and have a good time. Life is meant to be enjoyed, and think about it. How much of that shit that's going on in the newspapers and TV and everything touches you personally in your life? None. So you just got to deal with what you're dealing with every day. If you're in a situation where you don't think it's a good situation, then you do everything you can to improve it.
So people are personalizing things that are too far away from them. Is that what you're saying? Like
Well, that's a good way to put it. Yeah,
like they should groove in the moment, groove in their world.
Yeah, you should.
So how does that come across? Do you riff to them? I mean, like, can you talk about your mountain? It's some pretty heavy cats there. That, I mean, you know, it was pretty well attended.
Oh yes.
I mean, what's your act? What's your mask? What's your role? Like, what do you do? How do you make it entertaining and real for at least a few people to walk out of there and say, I want to get in the groove?
Well, it all started when I was in high school playing football under the lights, Friday night lights, and the cheerleaders would kick up their legs and see their crotches, and the band members were laughing in response, and everything was going good, and I got burned by the spotlight, and I've been played in the spotlight ever since because I like to perform and I like to entertain and I like to really connect with an audience.
How do you do that?
I give them the finger. Just like I am with you. I mean, how do you do that? Don't you ever watch performers perform and see the ones that really put out, that really go max all the time? Then if you perform yourself, you ought to do that. When you get up there, you ought to give them everything you got.
Do you work as a team with Walker and Mountain Girl, or do you?
Oh, God, yes. We've done stuff together for 40 years, 50 years, 60 years.
Is it like improv and or role play? I mean, I'm trying to get people to be creative. You guys made something out of nothing. That's
the price of it, is creative and coming up with stuff, even no matter how ridiculous it is and how it sounds. I mean, but also to make it funny, and also every once in a while drop in a serious bomb that makes everybody go, "Oh God, what do you say that for?" Because I wanted to be laughing.
Can you give an example of a serious bomb?
Yes, I can. It's when, in 1974, no, 72, in the University of Oregon, someone threw a firebomb in the ROTC building. That was the bomb.
You got any heat in here, Ryan? Jesus Christ.
I guess we're done.
Well, that floored me a little bit. I mean, where were you at in your life at that time?
I was where I am right now. I lived up the road. And, yeah, I was all part. I mean, I wasn't part of that, but it was all happening. I was here. You know what's going on.
One guy I wanted you to shed some light on was Paige Browning. I read it in your chat book, and I wanted to know his role with the pranksters.
He was the jelly roll, whereas Kesey was the straight coffee, and I was a shot of whiskey. George, I would say he was more like an acid drop. And Mountain Girl was having a good time and liking it and getting to know everybody and becoming really one of us.
Paige, though.
Paige, well, let's turn the page on this one. turn the page on Paige. Paige and I had a lot in common because we were both born in Columbus, Ohio, and we were both in the Marine Corps. And when he got out of the Marine Corps and hung around Palo Alto, then he just started hanging around and was always around. And he got to know the band, the guys in the band down there at the coffee house in Palo Alto. And so, I don't know, when we were in La Honda and bought the bus and we were heading to go to New York, he was there too, and he wanted to go on the bus. And he was bugging Kesey, and Kesey says, here, he says, take this paint. He says, I'm going back in the house and paint the porch, because everybody else was painting the bus. And so Paige was gone, and so everything went on, and then it was the way they, evaporated. Paige showed up, and Kesey says, well, did you paint the porch? And he said, yeah, he says, I had some paint left over, so I painted the Mercedes too.
But you tell a very gripping story, and we were arrested, which I left on the airplane, about him going to Mexico, bringing up a bunch of weed, and then like having a sense that they were onto him. He ditched it, and the next thing you know, 30 minutes later, the cops were on him. So he, I mean, he was what eventually was. He didn't make it on the bus with you guys, with Cassidy and Hagen and those cats.
No, he didn't come on the bus trip. He wasn't. It's because he was not really part of our core group. Although he was a good friend, and then afterwards, when we moved to Oregon, he moved to Oregon too, and he became one of Kesey and my real pals. And we did a lot of stuff together here in Oregon before he finally died.
What kind of stuff did you do?
What kind of stuff did we do? Well, one time we were in a convertible, my dumb convertible truck that had no top.
Yeah.
Going down along 30th by Lane Community College, and a cop pulled over, turned on his lights, and so I turned into the parking lot there, and Kesey got out immediately and walked down to the field, the baseball field, and I put my hat over the pint bottle of vodka that was there in the seat with me, and the cop gets out and he says, I bet you that guy's going down there with the bottle of whiskey you guys have been drinking in the car. And we went, no, what are you talking about? He says, well, we got a call from some lady saying she saw us driving down the road drinking. Not us, so Paige, he started getting on that guy. What are you doing talking to us like that? Who do you think? Blah, blah. So I said, Paige, cool, and we're okay. All right, officer? Yeah. He says, all right, get out of here.
Oh, you're on the right side?
The Spread SoCal. Can you talk? That was the first acid trip.
That's good. Yes, the first acid.
Now that was at your pad.
Yeah, what a big deal that's become. I mean, it's all because of that handwritten notice that said something about an acid test at Babbs' house on November 27th. And you know, when I think about that, I think that poster was actually made after the thing happened, and it was in the window of the Hip Pocket bookstore. Because it was just a party. It was just a party we were throwing, and everybody showed up and got high and stayed all night. That was good. But I like it. See, that's part of the myth. That's part of the whole thing, is that as these things go on for hundreds of years, thousands of years, the myth becomes a big mountain. And then all the bullshit sloughs off it and everything. There's this beautiful core left pointing to the sky, and that'll be the story. And there'll be the Homer of the time, 200,000 or 300,000 years from now, will write that story, and it will be the story that exists, like the Iliad and the Odyssey. And that's the one I'm waiting to read.
The thesis of my second book is that without the Merry Pranksters, there'd be no Grateful Dead. What says Ken Babbs?
Well, you can't use events that happen in chronological order
right.
as happening as making a cause and effect out of it.
Let's put it another way. Let's do it this way, because you're right. Were you guys? What did the Grateful Dead inspire you with, and what did you inspire the Grateful Dead to do?
Well, what they inspired us with was the desire to learn how to play notes on all of our instruments as the Merry Band of Pranksters. And what did we inspire them with? We inspired them with the desire to get out of this scene before it lasted 2 or 3 days and they were exhausted.
What does that mean?
What does that mean? It means that you were high and playing and doing all that for 2 or 3 days. You couldn't do anything for another month or so.
I guess, didn't you give them their first gigs?
Give them. fuck no, man. We charged them.
Walker said they got 105 a week for showing up in places like San Jose. You were paying them. You offered them a fan base as well.
I love it.
Just riff on this. This is not myth.
Are you kidding me? You think we really gave them money? I thought they gave us money to be able to play. They said, can we come and play with you guys? We'll give you some money if you let us. I said, lettuce? That's good. Show that lettuce to me, and I mean the green stuff. And he said, Jerry, let us pray.
Keezy came to you in a dream the other night?
Oh, I comes to me. Yes, it's nice. All these guys do. Garcia and the band and all these scenes and George and all the pranksters. Well, yeah, all of us, living and dead, they all appear in my dreams. That's the beautiful things about dreams. We're all there together in whatever world that is. Not even a world, whatever universe. Or, what's the word for that? There's a word for that.
It's the cosmos?
The cosmos. No, it's something else. It's got to do with the spiritual world. But I don't know. I can't keep track of all that shit.
You went to, after the San Jose, the guy kept the money, the guy with the afro, but then you went to the Rolling Stones concert and handed out flyers.
Yeah.
So the Stones were already playing larger venues. When
Yeah, they were in San Jose at the big
Civic Center.
Yeah, it's a big place.
They were already an established band at that point.
Oh, yeah, they were big time. They were like the Beatles. I mean, that was 65. Yeah, 65. Well, the Beatles came out in 64. Yeah, they came out together.
And I think, who was your most influential? I didn't realize you played bass.
Oh, yeah.
Who were you getting off on? Chuck Rainey or Paul McCartney? Who did you dig on bass? Or were you upright player?
Yeah.
I played the electric bass. I traded my rifle for electric bass at a pawn shop.
So who were your influences?
My influences were the guy that sold it to me who said, don't forget to buy some strings for that thing if you want to play it.
But you were maybe it's fair to say, I mean, compared to the Grateful Dead, what sounds were the Merry Pranksters making? Were you playing regular chords, or were you just playing free and sort of all over the place? I mean, what was the music like? Because the Dead were, or the Warlocks at the time were functional musicians, definitely.
Well, sure, yeah, they played songs, but we did a form of non-verbal communication when we played. And that's the only way you can think about it, is because the most important thing about it is listening to one another and talking back and forth. And in fact, Bill Walton really realized that good musicians like the Grateful Dead, they move the song around like basketball players move the ball around. And when you're doing that without thinking about it, but with just really grace and talent, it's a magical thing. And it's really wonderful to see when it happens, or hear. See and hear. See here? I've had enough of this shit.
Yeah. Did you want to plug anything? You got anything you want to talk about that you're creating? I mean, I looked at you today. I came in here, the bartender said...
Oh, no, I don't want to hear that.
No, I'm not going to say it, but what I'm saying is...
Well,
you're just getting started. Is it fair to say you're just getting started? You got anything you want to plug before we go?
I want to plug? Well,
get the cows in the barn?
Yeah, that's always good. When the cow gets out, get him back in without any problem. Her. Well, no, I don't have anything to plug except my old Vietnam novel book and then my chapbook, We Were Arrested. But I think since my big book, Cronies, gets so slow getting a publisher, I think I'll do another chapbook here right after the holidays. So I got another thing to sell. You know, one of the most funs about being an author is going to these book fairs and getting to know all these other authors. Almost every single one there is self-published. But they're tremendous people, and they write some really good books. And so I didn't do it all this year because I thought, well, I don't have anything to sell except my same old stuff. But next year I'm going to go out with my same old stuff and maybe a new chapbook, so I can be there and meet people, the people that you actually meet too, and see and talk to, like up close until you really get to know each other. That's the most fun. Get it?
It's the Jake Feinberg Show. from Animal House. Ken Babbs, thank you, brother.
I'm
We'll see you
worried
later.
about him.